Codes and conventions. What are they? Well, let's start off with the codes. There are two types of codes. There are technical and symbolic. Symbolic codes are the ones that you and I, as humans, we see every single day. The Christianity cross is a symbol of a religious place. Also, this disabled parking sign, that is a symbol of where we can and cannot park our cars. Any sort of road signs use symbolic codes to mean something to the people seeing them. That works exactly the same in the TV and film industry. The producers and filmmakers put in these codes to mean something to the audience. If you saw this on the screen, you'll know it was a hospital. But how do you know this? Is it the white walls? Is it the hospital beds? Or is it just because it looks like a ward? But imagine if you were a child and you've never been to a hospital, you don't know what one looks like. You wouldn't know what this is. And that's where common codes come in. For filmmakers to use these codes, they need to rely on the audience's previous experiences. That's called semiotics. But we'll talk about that later. Now moving on to technical codes, this is where filmmakers use the equipment, camera, lighting, and audio to create a meaning behind their productions. For example, an earthquake could be simply shaking the camera. Or another example would be red and blue flashing lights to symbolize the police. There are tons of different codes, but I'm not going to go into that today because it will take me forever. I'll leave a link down below to some useful websites where you can go learn more about the codes. Now for conventions. And I'm not talking about these conventions, more like these conventions. Conventions, by definition, mean a way in which something is usually done. Therefore, it means what you would expect as an audience to see from a specific genre of TV or film. Let's take action movies for example. In action movies, there's usually a fight scene, chase scenes, fast cars, guns, other weapons, foreign enemies, popular music choices, explosions, usually a heroic male, and a damsel in distress that has a love interest towards the heroic male. Do you remember me mentioning semiotics? Well, let's recap.
That's called semiotics. But we'll talk about that later.
Semiotics is the study on signs and symbols and how their audiences interpret them. So, me and somebody else sitting in the same cinema screen could watch the exact same production, but come out with two completely different meanings. For example, I've recently watched Dunkirk, and me, as a teenage male, felt really relatable to the characters on screen, while a 40-year-old middle-aged woman who has had children herself of my age would feel really protective over them children that are fighting that war. We were in the same cinema screen watching the same exact movie, but we felt two completely different ways. Semiotics relies on people's previous experiences. Like the hospital I mentioned earlier, the audience already has to understand common codes. Therefore, an audience that has had different experiences will interpret the same production in different ways. Thanks for watching, guys, and I hope to see you around in the next video. I hope some of that was helpful. And I've been Brett, and you've been totally awesome!